All right, Yellowhorn Podcast, episode 3. Super special Yellowhorn Podcast today, guys. We got our special guest with us, littledarkfury. What's going on? How you doing?
What up? How you guys doing?
We're doing good. It's yeah, man. It's gonna be a good episode. LDF, man. Of course, fantastic content creator. Somebody that I've watched for a while. If you play PTCGO, if you play Pokemon TCG, and you don't know who littledarkfury is, you're living under a rock. But I understand if you don't. I get it. Sometimes people live under rocks, but definitely go look him up. He makes great content. Does videos on a bunch of incredible deck lists. Totally a bunch of creative lists. And of course, we have Zach Lesage, our co-host. What's going on, Zach?
Yo, what's poppin'? I mean, we're waking up. It was a late night of editing videos, so I feel like I'm just grinding through the day. What's
right.
poppin', people?
What's going on? I'm Maddie from Chill TCG, and I got my cat in the back. He's on my couch, so we're all here. We're all here. Yeah, man. So how you guys doing? You guys been good?
Yeah, been doing good. Been doing good for sure.
Anything going on or what? Just normal things.
What are you doing, Maddie?
Nothing. I'm just hanging out, man. I mean, I'm getting ready for Wednesday's tournament. It's a giant chill series this week. It's going to be crazy. Our prize pool is pretty insane. And we also have a GG Tour free entry event too on Saturday. So, 2 cash and free entry cash prizing events in 1 week. It's going to be pretty crazy.
That's pretty good.
But overall, not a whole lot going on in the world of Pokemon. But we've come up with some interesting things to talk about this week. We'll start off with the first half of the podcast. I think we'll just do a little bit of an interview. We'll ask LDF some stuff, get to know him a little bit better, and then we'll hit on just some normal kind of podcast topics that we typically hit on. But LDF, you've been on many podcasts. Is this sort of a newer thing?
This is my first one. Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
So,
Nice.
yeah, it's pretty
Got
cool.
him.
Got him.
Exactly.
Got him.
We reeled him in. I mean, podcasts are fun. I mean, I know me and Zach, we always just we'll have a layout of topics that we want to hit every podcast, and we'll go in an hour or whatever, and then we end up just adding another 30 minutes of just kind of rambling about whatever for a while. But Zach, what's going on with you, man? You just making your videos, getting ready to win another Players Cup here next month, or what?
Stop. I mean, I feel like I could play another 1,000 Players Cups, and I don't even think I'd win any of them. It's just one of those things where just gotta vibe out. I mean, I think I'm actually playing in my first chill tournament on Wednesday, so I'm excited about that. I mean,
Let's go.
Signed up for a whole bunch, and sometimes I don't really play, but that's okay. I now have the opportunity to. I'm gonna clear my schedule to support the home slice, and gonna try to play on Saturday as well. I mean, we'll see how it goes.
Right.
Beyond that, it's a normal week for me. I'm gonna do some stuff, make some videos, write some articles.
For sure.
I
kind of like weeks like this where there's not too much going on, because then we can kind of bring on cool guests. We can kind of just do our own thing. We talked about the ADP ban last week, but we definitely will want LDF's opinion on that for sure. So,
I got some spicy takes.
that's what's up. I mean, I know it's different too, and from the perspective of players, right? Someone like Zach, who's a competitive player mainly. Someone like me is a TO mainly, and then somebody like LDF who makes content, right? I think we all kind of do everything. I'm not saying none of us play competitively. All of us make content. You know what I mean? We all do all these things, but I think we all have our own specialty right now in the community. So I think it's a very cool dynamic this week, for sure. But yeah, Zach. I mean, last chill series, you said you're playing this Wednesday. The last week we had 260 people. Absolutely ridiculous.
Are you getting more this week? Do you think? Do you feel like on the reels? Do you think that was holiday season stuff, where everyone's at home? I mean, here in Ontario, we had stay-at-home orders for still going on for the whole rest of the next month. So I mean, there's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. There's no movies out there. There's no restaurants out there. There's literally nothing. You can go to the pharmacy, you can go to the grocery store, and both of those suck.
Yeah.
Except for the grocery store, because I like food. But seriously, do you think you're gonna get more players or less players? Is the cash gonna bring the guys in?
I mean, that's a good point. I think it hopefully we'll get more. I want to be optimistic, but I do understand that this past week or two has been a really good time for people to play in these online events, because they're all home. They're not doing schoolwork. they're not really working, right? So they just have time to play like on a Wednesday night, especially, which is when we run. So I don't know. I mean, it's tough. Our prize pool this week is insane. It's free to enter, so as long as people can put the time in to play, I have no reason why. There's no reason why they shouldn't play. But we'll see. I'll be more so interested to see. Also, Hexters is tonight as we record this. It's Monday, so I think that'll be also a really good measure. They also pull like really good numbers. So depending on what they get tonight, I'll be interested to see what we get Wednesday. But I'm happy with whatever. It's never like a contest. I'm not doing it to get the most people. I just do it. To
Yeah, I mean, you're a community crutch, right? Like, you're running these events. I mean, for a lot of people who are listening to the podcast, or a lot of people who played in events, I know, like, for the few events that I've organized, organizers do not make a lot of money. A lot of organizers do not make money. A lot of organizers actually nag on their money because it goes into the prize support, or they're giving away packs. And I mean, if you put it into like even close to the lowest state's minimum wage, I mean, that's a pretty fair metric. I think the amount of time that goes into these events, like being an organizer, is like you do it for the love of the community, you do it for the love of the game. And I mean, I know I haven't had too many opportunities to play in your events, but I appreciate you as a tournament organizer just for the community in general.
Thanks, bro.
That's my heartfelt Monday. You got me in my feels.
I know. I mean, you're going to be playing for the first time. I know LDF's played in a few tournaments, and I think he got like top 16 one tournament with Colossal when it came
almost
out.
Back to back, I think.
Yeah, and I was like, let's go. I know but like LDF's busy, man. I mean, he's got things to do, and I understand it. So it's cool when like the content creators come out and play, like the streamers, the YouTubers, because it always brings a lot of other players in, and it just kind of overall brings the hype up. But it is what it is, man. I'll try to get as many people in as possible. You never know. It's very unpredictable. It's very unpredictable, but it's not a big deal. So that's kind of my take on it. But what about you, LDF? You playing Wednesday? Huh? Yeah.
I might. If I got time, definitely might look into it. I have a deck that I'm like maybe gonna bring. Like, I have an idea of what I want to play. I'm just not sure I'm ready to
reveal
play it yet. Yeah. Kind of like under the cover. Yeah.
I hear you. We're not banning ADP for Wednesday if anybody's watching this and they're wondering, although it is probably Wednesday when they hear this. We're not banning ADP, and of course that just means it's normal standard format. That's, I think, what the majority of people play these days, but at the same time, we all know that format's very kind of stale in a sense. Last tournament, though, LDF, we didn't ban ADP, but we told people not to do it. We were like, you should probably not play if you can help it, play ADP. And we ended with only like 8% meta share in that tournament with ADP, where typically it's like 20, 25, 30, right?
Yeah, usually it takes up like the top spot.
Right. So it was the 5th most played deck, and actually the meta looked like really good. We had like a Cinderace make top 8.
Yeah, my boy Get Wrecked.
Yep.
Me and him both thought of that deck. I think it was my idea to put the Maulana in the deck too. I was like, this deck needs Maulana. That's how you beat Pika.
That is that's like, I think, a big reason why it won, especially like with that revenge attack, being able to take a hit, Maulana, and then kind of deal it back out. Definitely cool, but really cool to see Cinderace. We also had just some other decks that I can't think of off the top of my head that did really well. Excadrill won. Which, of course, is a really good counter to things like Pikarom, and Eternatus obviously has a tough time with ADP, but with less ADP, that deck really has like just open reins to body the best decks in the format. And those were the two most played decks, was Pikarom and Etern. So I'm hopeful that the meta will stay kind of a little bit fresh going into the next few weeks, but we'll see. Zach, you got some questions lined up for LDF here? Do you got them? I don't have them written down. But
you don't have anything written down? I think I would ever describe anything with a podcast is Maddie and I run the chill horn, or the yell horn, chill TCG, the lone blown. I mean, you can mix any words up. We're now we could be like the little yell horn, but seriously, we appreciate you being here for as a guest. I mean, I think it's just kind of an open forum right now to kind of not just like explain yourself, because that's not really a good way to put it. Like, it's one of those things like if you want to let everyone who knows who's watching the podcast, maybe they're like, LDF's my absolute favorite. I literally came here. I hate Zach and Maddie. We only came here for the LDF action. Or maybe someone's like, who the heck is this LDF guy? So maybe just like kind of just like how you got into Pokemon, how you got into content creation. And then just kind of like where you're at, what you're doing, kind of that stuff. I know.
Okay.
I mean, I think that sounds like a pretty good way to like explain it.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person where it's like the icebreaker is the ice broken. So I mean, let's hear it. What's going on?
Yeah.
So yeah, I like to make content on YouTube. I mainly specialize in making rogue deck videos for those of y'all who don't know who I am. I like to make just crazy decks. I like to try out every card I can possibly try out just to make it work, just to have fun with it for entertainment and for content. But yeah, I started playing Pokemon, I think back in like 2000, like the TCG anyway. Started playing back, I think in like 2008, 2009. I think it was around it was around like the Diamond and Pearl Platinum era. Like I used to always play the video games and stuff like as a kid, but
Yep.
like
Same.
I got it, I got on the TCG, probably like around the end of the 2000s. I think the first ever deck I ever brought to a regionals, it was in like Toronto. I think it was like I played. Who remembers the Machamp takeout card? It was like a donk deck. You put it in play, take out one energy, knock out a
And you
basic.
just knock out the basic Pokemon. So that would have
Yeah,
been like what, 2009, I
yeah. I was in
think.
the Stormfront set, I think. Yeah, it was 2009, 2008 when it was legal. Yeah, it was like before Rare Candy was like it got like e-redded where like you can't use it on the turn you played it. Like back then with Machamp, you could play it on the turn. But that was the first deck I ever brought to a regional. It was a Machamp deck, and I had like there's like a Nidoking card too. I forget what it does. I remember Machamp so vividly, but I can't remember the Nidoking. It was a Nidoking Machamp deck. I think I went like 3-3 in the tournament or something like that. That was my first ever regionals, and that regionals kind of was like, yo, this is sick. I want to continue playing this. And I pretty much played IRL up until like 2013 because I used to be able to get a drive to my local league every day. And then I ended up moving in like 2013. So I was like, I can't get a drive anymore. So I just kind of stopped playing IRL for the most part. I don't really play in real life anymore. But I mostly just play PTCGO. Like I've been playing PTCGO since like 2014. So, and like content creation for me has been going on for almost like 6-7 years now on
Yeah.
YouTube.
That's one thing too is, there's not a lot of people that have been doing, because if you pop on YouTube now, there's people making deck lists, people making videos, like myself and Zach, people who are new to it. But there's like a few people who've been doing it for a long time, and you can tell because not only do they have the experience with all making the videos, they look great, but they have really good followings, and you're definitely one of those people. So it's definitely kind of cool to see. But yeah, so like, how did you originally like get into making videos? Was it just kind of like, did you see somebody that was making the videos and you were like, oh, I want to do that, or were you just kind of like, you know what, I don't see enough people doing this on YouTube. Like, this is something that I could do. Like, how did that start out?
Yeah, I actually started off making content on Call of Duty, but like I didn't have a capture card, so it wasn't like actual like recorded content. But that's what made me start my YouTube channel, was playing Call of Duty. I used to play a lot of Call of Duty Black Ops 2, back when it was in its prime in like
Oh, yeah.
2013.
It's a great game.
But like, yeah, it's probably my favorite game of all time. And then like I would make the videos with like I would record my TV with my phone, and I'd have it like sit on like a chair, and like it'd be recording my TV. So it was like really bad quality, but like I used to watch a lot of like Ali A way back in the day. I know he's like a meme now, but
No,
he
I
used to
know.
be like,
Yeah.
he used to be the biggest COD channel back in the day, and he inspired me to start making like live recordings of COD. And then it never took off. So I was like, eh. And at the same time, I was still playing Pokemon TCG online, and I used like this like old like I didn't have OBS back then, so I just used like this really bad like screen capture thing. It wasn't like actually bad like FPS and stuff. It was like how I recorded, and then I found OBS, and I was like, oh shoot.
You're like, let's go.
Yeah. But like, even back when I first started, I always was like a big advocate for rogue decks. Even when I played IRL, I liked playing just like weird rogues. Like I would try out a weird combo that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that kind of got me into making content. I was like, I wonder if this type of content would be interesting to watch on YouTube. I think around the time I started, I think like the biggest PTCGO YouTubers were like, it was definitely Top Cut. Puka's like my biggest inspiration for YouTube.
Nice.
Yeah, the Top Cut, and it was like Mike PDCGO and like a Blue Golf Ball. Like when I started, they were like the three biggest content creators on YouTube, I think, at the time. And like there's like another guy named Tyler Plays. They were all like big inspirations. I definitely would say Top Cut was my biggest inspiration for doing content. I would always watch Puka's videos. Every time he uploaded, I had the notifications on. I'd click on it. I'd watch the video, and he did Rogues too.
Nice.
Yeah, and some Rogue videos, I was like, I like how Puka does them. I'm gonna try him out too, and kind of just went from there. And I just always upload it consistently. I've like always enjoyed the game when I first started playing PTCGO. I've always enjoyed it. I know the game isn't perfect. It's got its issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the most greatest online client,
But it's fun.
I've always
yeah.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
it's still fun.
Definitely
It's still
fun.
like
There's something that drives us all in together, right? Like, I mean, I think standard might be one of the worst standard formats I've ever played in this particular instance. Like,
100%.
I've been playing for like since 2005, and this is one of those things where I'm like, it feels kind of like a chore to play, especially best of one. Best of three doesn't feel nearly as bad. Best of one just feels like it's a little bit too riddled with variance. But I mean, at the end of the day, we're all here playing Pokemon. So I mean, regardless of the client, regardless of anything, that's what kind of all brings us all together.
For sure, man. And like it's funny because there's other people on YouTube. Like I know you specifically like focus heavily on rogue decks. I know somebody like PTCG Radio, like Ross over there. He doesn't typically make deck list videos, but he's a very big advocate of rogue decks. And I love it. I mean, personally, I think it's great content, but it also makes the game a lot more fun. And personally, what I've always wanted was like a restricted format, and not just like maybe you get rid of like all Pokemon that aren't single prize Pokemon to an extent. But I mean, I feel like there'd have to be some more that goes into it, making a new format. But I feel like if you're able to do that, if we're able to sort of come together and organize like a third format, call it like the restricted format, we could give us a place to freely play and create all of these cool more rogue type decks without just getting bodied by things like ADP or peak on the ladder, right? Or online or whatever it is. So that's something that I've always wanted in this game. Of course, I don't know what would go into it. I'm sure it would take a ton of testing and everything to make it all balanced, right? But I still think that would be a really cool idea. But I don't know. It's just something I wanted to throw out there.
I mean, it could happen. In that survey Pokemon put out like a few weeks back, they actually did add the idea, like, would people be interested in seeing these alternate formats? I think they had like a single prize format on that survey as like an option for like, would you be interested in this being a format?
Yeah.
It would definitely help with content on YouTube, because the only three formats, well, four formats, I guess. You got theme decks, but theme decks are like, it's not an actual format. You know what I mean? It's the same. It's the same decks.
Someone could be listening right now and they're like, actually, I'm the biggest theme deck on YouTube. I cover all the newest theme decks. I actually send Pokemon ideas for how they can make the next ones. But I mean, theme deck format's going to die off anyways, because I think theme decks are kind of done going forward, right?
Yeah, they're not printing them, I think. Not even in battle styles. They're like just done.
I mean, they're building,
yeah.
They're printing these like build and battle decks, which come with like tag team Pokemon and all the best cards. So it's like I feel like that's probably their new direction.
Theme deck. Yeah.
But
I think it's really cool. I think it's going to help out a lot of like new players. Like, I know, like I was a kid, I started off playing like as a theme deck. I had like all the way back and like Hidden Legends theme decks I remember buying at the store. I mean, I wish I held on to them now because I'd be rich. But it's one of those things where it's just like, you like everyone's got to get their starts. Those league battle decks or the new battle decks and stuff might be cool for some players.
Right. And that's where I think if we were to make like a single prize format or something like that, it would help all of the new players who come in, who don't necessarily have a bunch of these ultra rare, hyper rare cards that are just really powerful. And also it would help boost the creativity when it comes to deck building and stuff, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
just something I've always wanted, but yeah, whatever, right? I don't know.
Exactly,
I'm just rambling, man. We'll see. We'll see what comes out. Zach, what's the next question we got for LDF? I should have pulled these up. I just forgot.
What's the next question?
Oh, I know what it is. Sorry, I just remembered. All right.
I feel like you're calling me out for not doing my homework, and I'm like, geez, Maddie.
Oh no, actually, no.
We all know that I'm literally just here to be like, yes.
Well, the thing is, I can't like pull it up on our Discord chat because I'm recording the videos.
That's okay. Let me. Do you know it, or do you want me to find it?
You gotta find it, man. I didn't memorize
find
this
it.
stuff.
We're searching.
Yeah,
I think it's in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, I posted in the chat. We're professional.
Okay. I mean, yeah, we're exactly. We keep it vibe. It's chill TCG in the Lone Blown.
And
so
LDF.
yeah, and LDF exactly.
Killing
Not BDF. We found that out on Twitter the other day. Okay, so I mean, I think
Yeah.
that would just be like we're just talking about single prize card Pokemon. Um, Going into our current standard format, I know that you said that you wanted to talk about the ban on ADP Limitless. Like we covered in our last podcast. If you haven't, if y'all haven't watched that yet, you should check that out. Listen to it on whatever major streaming service, or I mean, we got it here on YouTube on both the Lone Blound and Chill TCG. But I mean, Maddie and I both had our opinions. LDF, what's your opinion on the ADP ban for Limitless? Just before you jump into it, just catching up with everyone. ADP has not officially been banned by Pokemon. Limitless has banned it for, I believe, their standard events
Yeah.
going forward in January.
Yeah.
Because they wrote a whole thing saying how big of a problem it is. Came to the conclusion. I mean, they are ran by a really strong group of players, very innovative minds in the game. Robin Schulz is part of Limitless, won the 2017 World Championships or 2018 World
Yeah, it was
Championships.
18, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, what a
absolutely
guy.
fantastic players over there. So it's just one of those things. Let's see exactly like what your thoughts are on it, because I'm sure. I mean, you come up with some crazy decks. Maybe you got a whole like different opinion on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'm an advocate for banning ADP. I think that the card is really overpowered. I think that like its attack, the fact that like Ultra Creation has to be the best attack in like the history of the TCG. Like
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
yeah, and the fact that it's for only 2 energy and like it has like really good type synergy with Metal Saucer makes it just insanely broken. So I do agree. Like I think ADP definitely just should not have been printed. I think it's really overpowered. I think it's like the best card ever made. It's like better than like Zoroark GX in its prime. Like it's just way too overpowered.
Yeah.
But like I don't think like I've thought about it and like ADP, while I do hate the card, it might not be like the pure problem with the format because like it does cause like a big like it does cause like an ecosystem in the meta where it's like it has like a big black hole of like just stuff that like comes into the game and becomes popular. Like Crushing Hammer right now, the only reason it's so popular is
Yeah,
because of ADP.
right. Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
and everyone hates crushing hammers, but it's like, I don't know. Like I feel like a big reason why it's a staple in every deck is because you really want it if you're going against an ADP, and ADP even runs it in themselves in case they go against another ADP. So
I mean, I think like just to weigh in there a little bit, I feel like Crushing Hammer has to do with the speed of the game, with a lot of the top decks currently being energy acceleration decks.
yeah,
Mhm.
So I mean, I think it just has to do with the speed of the game. And ADP is definitely a byproduct of that, and I mean, Crushing Hammer heads feel so good against ADP. But I mean, I think in a world without ADP, Pika Rom's also a problem, and you still probably play Crushing Hammers for Pika Rom, and maybe even for like Senna Scorch as well.
Eternatus,
Just
it's big.
That's that's another big
exactly.
one.
So I mean, I just think it's like kind of a problem of our format for Crushing Hammers. Maybe just not ADP centric, but I totally agree with every other sentiment.
Yeah. Like Crushing Hammer, like it's kind of like I feel like Crushing Hammer never would have taken off in popularity if ADP wasn't popular. It is really good though against like Eternatus and Dragapult because they're both like you just attach an energy, you pass, you attach, you start swinging for
Right.
270. So like Crushing Hammer like completely just turns the entire game around. But like I do think ADP has just made the format more like faster. It's just made decks like have to adapt to the speed of ADP, and it's just also made like Crushing Hammer really good. But I do think that like the power creep has like also made things bad. So like I do think ADP is one of the most like broken cards ever. Same with like Zacian V and Pikarom, like they're insanely broken.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Except ADP
yeah.
has both of those in one deck, so it's,
Yeah, it's got Ultimate Rain. Yeah, it's true.
that's.
But like,
I know.
I do think like tag teams are part of the problem too. Like stuff like Pikarom and Reshizard and Mewtwo Mew are like
They're all
they're
good.
just they're so broken. They're just it's a basic. So you just find them with a quick ball and then boom. So I do think rotation is gonna really help the format. But I think that like Pokemon have kind of like dug a hole by like, okay, let's make these really strong tag teams, but then we gotta print VMAXs to help counter them. So it's like Dragapult comes out, and then like a set later you get Eternatus VMAX, which counters Dragapult, and then they're like, oh, let's try to fix it. Let's make Colossal, which can try to counter both Pika and Eternatus. So like it's like every set they're trying to like one up themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's what and I think they realized that Colossal just wasn't doing it, and
No.
that's kind of why I think in Battle Styles they just made kind of better Colossal in a sense with the Urshifus, and they also kind of made it two ways. So they were like, well, you can either play it, with sort of in a version of it that hits like for like 150 for one energy, of course, like does really well against those Pokemon that you're super effective against. But if you're looking to cover the matchups where you're not super effective against, you can play the single strike mode version of it. So I think that I think you're right, like 100%. That was like the idea with them when they had like Dragapult, which was super good, Eternatus, which was super good, and they were like, we need to like add a third, like, piece to this puzzle, and it just wasn't really doing it. I think Colossal's a really good card. It just isn't as good, I don't think, as those other two decks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like Pika figured out. It's like, oh, Colossal's really good. All right, let's just play Mewtwo and Mew, which like doesn't even two shot as well as a Dojo. So it's like it only does 130 damage.
Yeah, I'm pointing at Zach because Zach. I mean, everyone's doing it now, and like I'm not saying he was like the only like first person to ever do it, but like for the Players Cup, this was like a week or two before like you ever saw it in an online event. He was just destroying people in the Players Cup with Mewtwo and Pikarom, and especially after the results came out of Players Cup 2, everyone was like, oh yeah, like I'm just gonna put Mewtwo's and Pika and just win every tournament. So
yeah,
I think it's funny how there's like actually like a Pikarom deck, a Mewtwo Pikarom deck, and a Mewtwo Lightning deck, and they're all 3 different.
That's true.
I mean, okay, so I mean we've kind of touching on it like in different areas. We talked like standard ADP ban, all that stuff. When it comes to like alternative formats, we're kind of in standard. I think all 3 of us can probably agree that standard's a little stale. A little bit like the issue is like Champion's Path didn't add anything to our formats. Vivid Voltage was more or less of a flop. Like there's a lot of cool cards. I know. I could talk about Orbeetle VMAX with Maddie. Maddie's like Orbeetle VMAX. Who's there? And there's even some players that played Orbeetle VMAX at events from like the 2017, 2019. I mean, we all saw the Twitter posts. I mean, that guy, maybe it was a meme. Maybe they just legitimately thought it was a standard event.
that guy's
Whatever.
a legend. That guy's a legend.
Yeah, that guy's a legend. Fly high, Orbeetle. Fly high. But Vivid Voltage was kind of a flop. And I mean, for Pokemon TCG play, it looks like Shiny Fates is also going to be kind of a flop to change our standard metagame. I think there's only like 10 new cards in the set. And I mean, some of them look really cool. And a lot of the shiny cards are going to help out the collectors lose all their money in their bank accounts. But when it comes to our standard formats, I think we're going to be stuck in the same like Pikarom, ADP, Eternatus formats. So does that mean that like collectively, I guess we'll start off with LDF. Do you think it's worthwhile to continuously play in standard format, or are you kind of excited to like play in some of these alternative formats? And by alternative formats, I mean like maybe exploring expanded, maybe playing in some of these legacy events. I mean, again, like there's we brought up Vixen. Yeah. Even last time, I mean, I think I saw you play in one of their events, like promotional material and stuff like that. Like they're always running some crazy events. If you haven't checked them out, you can check them out on Limitless.
Yeah, those tournaments are like super cool. Like you're not going to see as many people playing them because they're not just like a normal standard format tournament. But those are the tournaments that like you really can express your creativity and really have a lot of fun with deck building. So I think it's important to have those decks. But yeah, sorry, you go LDF. What do you think?
Yeah,
about it?
I mean, yeah, I love the legacy format. I've kind of revived. I feel like I did revive legacy content on YouTube and stuff. But yeah, like I just love legacy. It's a fun format because I used to play in that era of like the HSS days. Like I used to play IRL, so like it brings back nostalgia, and it's like a bit of a healthier format than standard. I mean, like Vileplume is really overpowered in Legacy. Like I feel like if Legacy was more popular, I do think Vileplume would probably get banned. It's a really good card, and some people will say it has ruined the Legacy format for some people. But I just really enjoyed Legacy, and I enjoy Expanded a lot too. Expanded's like the Wild West. Like it's almost like standard on crack because like it's just there's so many broken combos like Battle Compressor and like Archie's Ace in the Hole and like the Tina Chomp Coco combo and like ADP's really good in there. Of course, you got the Trevnor Handlock decks and like Eggrow Vileplume. So it's like it's the Wild West of like just insanity. But I kind of like it for that. It's also just like there's such a big card pool. There's so much creativity you can do. There's probably like there's probably like an insane amount of combos yet to be discovered and expanded. Right. I enjoy it. Yeah, I like personally. I'm not a big fan of playing against stuff like Eggrow and like Ultra Necrozma. They're just not. They're just so cheap and like they're not fun to play against because they stop you from playing the game. But like overall,
I don't like Ultra Necrozma, man.
Yeah, that card is super annoying to play against. But like I like expanded though. I'm a huge advocate of the expanded format, because there's so many cool things you can do in there. There's just so many combos that probably have yet to be discovered. So I love expanded and I love legacy. Like I like standard's fine like most of the time for me, but like right now, especially trying to make all these like fun rogue decks, like you play against like a tag team or a VMAX deck, you just get stomped. Because I'm making a video on like a card that does 120 damage for 3 energy, like a normal energy and like a twin energy. It's like 120 damage, okay. And then next turn I get knocked down. It's like, well, I just lost. And it's like, yeah, like I don't really like standard right now. I think tag teams and like VMAXs to a degree are like just really overpowered, and they kind of just make it hard to make single prize decks other than like niche stuff like Mad Party work.
Right.
But I do like expanded, and I would like to see more like fun, creative, alternate format tournaments on the Limitless site, because it's better options than standard. Because I'm sure people will get bored of standard, and like then like the tournaments, I guess like more people will stop playing the tournaments until like a new set drops. So
And that's that's what happens too. Like when Vivid Voltage came out, like we had a big surge of people that came and played standard tournaments. I'm not sure exactly why. I guess it was just a lot of hype around it. A lot of people came to the game with Vivid Voltage, and the problem is, like, you're right, like especially with Shining Fates coming out, I don't feel like we're gonna get that little bit of a small refresh for a few months, which is gonna make things become very, very daunting for a lot of the players who've been playing the same team up through Vivid Voltage format for 2 months now. Now they're gonna have to play it for another three months or something until Battle Styles comes out. And we've yet to see what's coming out in Battle Styles. When that stuff gets announced, we'll have we'll do a whole podcast on it probably. But my hope is that with the new mechanics, the new rapid and single strike mechanics, with the new Pokemon and whatever, we don't know what's coming out else. But my hope is that it not only does Urshifu kind of deter Pikarom from doing so well in tournaments, but also things like E-Turn, and opens up the format for a bunch of psychic type archetypes that we just haven't really seen too much recently, like maybe Dragapult come back, or Gardevoir, who knows, but or Mad Party. But I hope that as long as we can make it to like Battle Styles, we'll be fine. But I just always have high hopes for new sets. I had high hopes for Vivid Voltage too, and nothing really happened. So
yeah.
I mean, I think I'm kind of there. For me, like I enjoy the standard format in general. As long as I'm playing best of 3, or if it feels kind of worth my time. So events that are just like worth a couple packs online, I find it really hard for me to be like, I'm super interested in this, because it's like a super like highly competitive player. I'm always looking for that big prize or that big excitement. I think that's kind of what gets my thrills off in Pokemon. At the core, obviously, like I love the game. And I wish that the game would honestly be a little bit better right now. I feel like expanded right now, I don't necessarily have what it takes to like dive into expanded. If I were to play an expanded event tomorrow, I'd probably just look at like the last like big expanded event and just choose a deck that I like there.
Right.
Just not putting my heart into it. Same thing with Legacy. I mean, Legacy, I think I also played in those eras, and I think a lot of those decks are super cool. The only thing that's really tough is Pokemon's made it incredibly difficult to play in those formats due to card acquisition.
Yeah.
Beyond
do
like
a great
just
job with that.
no, and like even in those formats, like Beach is also relevant, I think.
Yeah, Beach is like really good. And, like
that card's just like a problem card in those formats, because like I remember playing at like before they were League Cups, they were City Championships back in the day, and like if you didn't have a playset of Beaches, you had to know someone who had a playset of Beaches, and if you didn't know someone who had a playset of Beaches, you were at a little bit of a disadvantage. But I mean, Legacy is cool. I still need to acquire a bunch of cards in that format, so I'm saving up my coins. I mean, I don't know. I kind of like these alternative formats. I don't know if I have enough time to play in them. Like I know that even like Tablemon, for example, runs his own series of a future format, right? I know you kind of brought it up of like when you see rotation, you hope that it's a little bit better. I've been watching Tablemon's tournaments. I don't even know if the format looks better. Kind of like,
well, it's like, different.
The most Zacian is still like the most played deck, because Zacian is Zacian. It's just really good. It has Zamazenta, it still has Metal Saucer. It might not have its tag team partners like ADP and Luke Metal, but like Zacian is the most like played deck in the Tablemon tourneys, which is like, it's kind of scary because Fire is like hit really hard with rotation. So like, really the only viable Fire deck is like literally just that Cinderace deck that like I think won the tournament. Baby Cinderace is like the only good Fire deck in the Tablemon tourney. But like because of like tag teams like just non-existing anymore. Like the amount of like fun decks you can play is like better. Like that format is like really healthy. I really enjoy playing it. I think the first two I played Wailord V with Frostmoth because I thought it was a good meta call because because you don't have to worry about Zamazenta with Wailord, and it can also take a hit and it can one shot for 240.
Yeah, with
Um,
Zacian.
I
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a good matchup. I just got bodied by Decidueye because I didn't have a counter to it. Like Decidueye is like really good also in that format because
Yeah,
people don't really play counters.
for sure.
Yeah, and I think the third table monitor, not the second, the third one, I played a colossal, not colossal VMAX, but like the colossal that accelerates energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played that with like it was like Talonflame, Centiskorch, VMAX, and Sandaconda. So like the whole idea was like you can use like Talonflame against like Zamazenta, and you can also use his fast flight attack to like try to set up a colossal. It can like dig for a colossal with its attack, and you can also use it to like discard energy from your hand, and it's got a free retreat cost. And then like the Centiskorch was like just a nice way to deal with Zacian. Zacian, because if I were to go like just say Talonflame, it would just get one shot.
Right.
So like Centiskorch can like take 2 Brave Blades, and then it can just take out Zacian, and it can take out 2 Zacians before it gets KO'd. And like the Sandaconda was just there for like the Eternatus matchup, and
Yeah.
I did okay with the deck. I almost could have maybe like bubbled top 16 or top 32, whatever, if like I had one game against Zacian where I just like got a terrible start and I just dead drew and I got bodied. And it was like a matchup I wanted to play against.
Always happen. That always happens sometimes. You know,
Yeah.
no matter what. Like even if you're
Exactly.
playing like peak, like the most consistent deck, like you're just sometimes you're like, oh, cool. Like I have
Yeah.
8 energies in my hand.
Yep. It sometimes doesn't matter. The Pokémon tourneys are really good though. It's a really awesome format just because you gotta get a peek into the future. You get to like see what's gonna be good, and it's also just a format without tag teams. It has Vs and VMAXs, but without like tag teams, the speed of the game isn't as bad. There's also no Dedenne, so it's just Crobat. So you don't have to worry about like Dede
Right.
change and then Crobat. Yeah.
Right. I think right, and that's why like I always kind of try to project myself into the future, like what's gonna look like after rotation. Last week, me and Zach talked about how like fire decks just get bodied by rotation. And I told him like they might reprint Welder or like something similar to it, or they might come out with a card like Frostmoth that works for fire Pokemon, whatever it might be. They need to do something with fire Pokemon because for at the moment right now, all of the fire Pokemon require a high amount of energy, especially like the VMAXs. So without a way to accelerate that energy, I just don't know like how they're playable at all. And like I said, they might reprint Welder. They might go a different route by giving it some better energy acceleration. But to me, I feel like I'm gonna personally really like the next rotations format just because the game is turning into like a 2-hit KO format more so than just sort of like setting up and just taking 1-hit KOs till you win. Which overall I think is better. I think it makes bosses orders less important in a way. Especially without ADP, which takes multiple prize cards, right? Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be better. I think they have a lot of cards they still need to make before we actually go through rotation. I think Tablemon's format is really cool, but it's still missing a lot of cards because we still have, like 6 months of Pokemon needing to print new cards before we do rotate. So
there's only like 4 or 5 sets in that entire tournament.
Right. So,
we can hope for battle styles, right? Like, I mean, I think battle styles is really like we're waiting on what's coming out.
Yeah.
And that like I'll be fair. I think battle styles is either going to be either an amazing set or a very mediocre set. Base sets. When they introduce new mechanics, typically are either the strongest sets available in formats. Which so far it looks pretty cool. I mean, I don't know if it's just because like I've been starving in a desert here for some interesting looking cards. But I mean, I think that sets it's looking super interesting right now. Obviously, I think all 3 of us are hyped to see what's coming out in that set. But really, like because they said they're going to continue on with the mechanics, if they continue going and diving deeper into that format, I think it's going to be really interesting. I mean, I could imagine a world where there's cards that have both strike cards just to kind of change up gameplay. Like the world is our oyster, basically. So we'll see exactly what comes out. I mean, I think that would save kind of Tablemon Pablo Mesa's format. I think that might save our standard format and might add a breath of life into the expanded format. I find expanded's one of those formats where it just takes like a couple cards from each set that are the most broken, and I think expanded's it's underdeveloped. Kind of like where standard right now is hyper developed. I think expanded might actually be a worse format, is my hot take, than our current standard. just enough people don't play it all the time to the point where it's discovered to the point where the format's ruined. I think it just seems cool from the outside because some of these things are, but like honestly, recently, like we've never played enough. Like expanded's at most like 20% of our metagame in real life play. Online, it's less than that. Um, I mean, even with the bans, I'm sure the bans make the format a little bit more healthy. Expanded's a format that's kind of just like it's like the stepchild of the family because like international championships and worlds have never done have never done expanded. Only like a handful of regionals and maybe some locals. But when it comes to the most like upper echelon of competitive play, expanded does not matter. You could be one of the best players in the game not playing expanded.
Right.
And like typically I don't do very well in expanded events. Like I got a couple top 16s here and there at regionals. It's one of those things where I typically do much better in standard and in real life play. So I don't know. I think my hot take is expanded's probably worse than standard right now. We just don't know it yet.
Yeah, I kind of agree too, where it's like if we were to get rid of standard format and everybody in the game were to start playing expanded, they might just sort of beat that whole format down to like what decks are the most consistent, the most viable, and then all of a sudden 40% of the meta share is playing Vileplume or something, right? So
Yeah.
but I think the place that the format is good, right? Because it's there for the people that don't want to just play the best decks every week, right? And play an EP every week and just dominate. So I think Zach's right. Like it has the potential to be like absolutely terrifying, and that makes sense. But I think hopefully it doesn't turn into that, and I don't know if it really will, as long as we have the standard format for people like for players like that to get that out of their system. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think one of the main issues with expanded, it can be harder to get into because like there's so many old cards, like stuff like Computer Search, Dow's Machine, and even like Shaman before it got banned. It's like those cards are kind of hard to attain.
Right.
So like it can be harder for newer players to get into expanded, which is like one issue because just older cards just makes it hard to get into the format. It's like the same thing what Zach said earlier about Legacy. It's like Legacy's really cool. There's some budget decks you can play, but if you want to play like a top tier deck, like you have to like be rich. Like Celebi Prime is like
You
worth
can't even
upwards
buy into it,
200
right?
bucks.
Like it's one of those things like oh, I mean I guess you can because there's some that are tradable online, but you
Yeah.
have to be like actually rich to get those cards. Like if I want to get Celebi Primes, like what are they going for like 100 packs right now?
They're like I think it's like 160, 140 for or even
Yeah,
200.
exactly. Which
Yeah.
means we get to the realm of where you can only do like up to 100. Like you can't even do 100 over 100 packs online. So you have to start trading for things that are of value. It's just like instead of like dealing with currency, we're dealing with like gold bars of like quick balls and stuff like that, and
Yeah,
things
quick
that
ball
are
and
worth more
hammer.
than packs.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, that gold crushing
Yeah.
hammer, like quadrupled in price, like in last few
It's
months.
insane, yeah. It's worth more than quick ball now. But that's always one thing I've always loved about the Pokemon trading card game online. Like some people may not like the whole aspect of like really rare and expensive cards. I've always loved that. That's like always been one of my favorite things about playing the game is like trying to get these really expensive cards like the Secret Rares, like back in the day Secret Ultra Ball, which is now like super expensive again, but the Plasma Freeze Ultra Ball is like really, really expensive. And that was like kind of what like got me into like getting into like being rich on the game is like because I've just always been fascinated by like the rarity of stuff. Like I have like the Charizard Avatar outfit, which is like upwards of like it's probably worth like all maybe like 8 or 7 tropical beaches now for that entire set.
Why?
It's expensive, yeah, because it was a gem item only. You had to be Canadian to obtain it. And then you got like the Mewtwo and Victini, Deoxys, Thundurus, Vivid stuff. Like though, like stuff like that just really fascinates me. Like I've always liked that like online rare market aspect of video games. It was
sure.
it was the same with That's what also kept me into like Fortnite way back in the day. Because they had
Fortnite,
like all the rare
what?
skins.
Play Fortnite
a
too?
Pokemon podcast. Wait, what?
we play some Fortnite sometimes.
Maddie, I play Fortnite every single night of the week. Maddie's like, "Hey Zach, my wife went asleep," and I'm like, "Michelle's pretty cool with it. She's just playing Animal Crossing on the couch, but I'll pretend like she's asleep." Hit us up if you ever want to play some games. If anyone in the thing wants to play some games, Maddie and I are down to play some squad sometimes. And I mean, we'll see what's going on.
Yeah, I'm pretty terrible, but I love it. I love playing.
Kind of to butt in on that stuff. Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying with those things. I even remember when I tuned into one of your streams and I think you were wearing like a Babe sweater or something like that. Or
yeah,
I think that was that. And I was like, yo, bro, I didn't know that you were like a hype beast clout in real life. Because that's kind of like how I would put myself. And it's just like, I can't put myself for Pokemon. I don't believe in like material objects when it comes to the game. Cause like for me, I think it's like my player mentality shows first. Like I'm not like a collector. Like I would sell my collection tomorrow without even thinking about it. If that's what I need to get the newest set,
Yeah.
just to play some new cards.
Well,
But
like
yeah,
with,
no, I think
yeah.
it's great. Like I think it's cool.
With Pokemon though, I guess like you can't really you can collect like all the expensive stuff in the game like I do, but like you can't really make profit off of that because you're not allowed to sell stuff in the game. So like even though I do have like the play set of like Celebi Primes and like I have a Tropical Beach and I have the Charizard outfit, I can't ever sell that. Like if I were to be like, yo, yeah, like it's worth like what 8 Tropical Beaches for that outfit. If I were to be like, all right, yo, give me like $1,000 for I'll give you this outfit, I'll trade it to you. Yeah, I'm not allowed to do that because then that person would get banned and then I would get banned and then like it'd just be gone forever.
Right.
But yeah, like the reason why I have like a few like streetwear clothing, like the Bape hoodie and stuff like that, is because like it's like I like to wear that stuff for like because I watch a lot of rap and stuff. Like I'm into hip hop music and like new school rap, like trap music and stuff like that. So like it's just like kind of like I guess like I watch so much of it. I'm like I see Juice World wearing a Bape hoodie in one of his music videos. I want to buy that. I want to wear it.
Yeah.
I'm not really into like designer stuff. Like I'm not like too big on like Gucci and Louis Vuitton and like this is like it's really expensive. Like no hate if you like that stuff, but like for me it's like it's just too expensive and I feel like I'm just wasting too much money. So like
For sure.
That's
buying
fair.
streetwear, buying streetwear clothes like I'm like big on V-Lone and Bape and stuff. Like buying streetwear clothing that's not as expensive as the high-end designer stuff. I think it's just a lot more cooler. It's still kind of expensive and it has resale value. So like I could buy a Bape hoodie for like I don't know, like $300, and then I could like wear it for like 2 years, and then I could sell it off for like $600, like get profit. Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah,
that's like
streetwear is kind of crazy, especially like especially in our generalized area. There's a lot of people who are just like really into streetwear. Like I looked at like
especially
Toronto buy and sells and stuff like that. I mean, that's the biggest thing about like it doesn't even matter like where you are as long as you're like within a metro area or within an hour of like Toronto is one of the top 5 biggest cities in North America.
Yeah.
Easily. So just like being in like that kind of thing, you can find whatever you want in any capacity. We even see it in like I look at the Pokemon buy and sells, and people are just like flipping packs like crazy. But yeah, no, I mean, I totally feel you on the streetwear vibe. I'm also to anyone who's watching, I'm totally into like rap, Rip Juice World, Rip X, all that good stuff. I listened to Playboy Cardi's new album recently. I don't. Did you? I thought. Yeah, that's exactly my opinion. I was like, it was like a little bit like maybe it's like the new hyper focused new school. It might be. It's probably equivalent to our standard formats where I'm like, maybe I'm too old for this new age rap of Playboy Cardi. Like he seems to me like the Travis Scott, Kanye West kind of vibe. Like he has this like weird cult following that I don't entirely get. But like I don't necessarily know if like I feel like I'm standing on the outside because he had that song like that was leaking on like TikTok, like Kid Cudi and stuff like that and stuff like that. I was like, oh, that song's kind of hype, and like I'm definitely into like the baby voice stuff, but I don't know, it's kind of weird. But yeah, designer clothes, especially like the high end designers, like for me, like I always have this dream of like winning a regionals or doing really well at a Pokemon event and buying like a Louis Vuitton or a Gucci backpack. And I mean, I've actually done pretty well, and it's just like bills get hit hard around those times. Like it's expensive to fly out to these regionals and stuff, so I'm like, dang, that money's just gonna go into something else. Even with the Players Cup, I'm like, I can't turn my trip into that backpack. So I think that's the one thing that's keeping me going in this game. I just need to win a large sum of money to get my backpack, and then I'm out. But it's one of those things where like for now I'll just stick to like the Off-White and some of the Yeezy stuff because it's a little bit more approachable.
That's kind of my take too.
Man,
but
I feel like a fish out of water right now, man. I'm just like I'd wear like sweatpants and like hand-me-downs and shit. I just like hang out. I don't buy anything expensive. I don't like go hard on style or anything like that. I'm just chilling.
Chill, bro. Chill TCG.
Exactly, bro. It's in the name.
It's cool to It's cool to listen to it from you guys, though. I like.
Yeah, it's like
I'm
like it's
projecting
just
right
like
now.
yeah, collectible stuff like that has always just fascinated me. That's like what got me into like big trading on Pokemon TCGO. It's like I just like collecting like really rare and expensive cards, and either I sell them off when they go up in value. Like right now, I'm like investing in cards that could be popular and like really expensive when like rotation hits. So I'm like investing in them now while they're really cheap, and then like maybe they'll go up like 30, 40 packs when the rotation hits. I'm like, oh, look, I just made profit.
It's crazy. Like I've often thought about it. I had a few friends who asked me, they're like, well, I know you have an online collection. How much is your online collection worth? And I'm like, I've sank thousands upon thousands of dollars into this buying code cards, and I'm like, it's worth a zip. I'm like, if they ever open those floodgates, so help me God, I might just sell my whole account. But
Yeah,
it's one of those things like you gotta abide by the rules. Anyone watching the podcast, no one here endorses the selling of cards online. It is bad. Your account, like, I mean, LDF, you got a pretty big account. I got a big account. I mean, Maddie even has a big account. If any of us lost our account tomorrow, I would cry myself to sleep for
Yeah.
hours. The amount of like time and effort and stuff, even collecting those cards, it hurts. So they don't play around. Don't buy cards online. That is a gray market. It is illegal. It's kind of like going down to your neighborhood and buying drugs on the street. It's probably illegal whichever country you're in. Don't do it, kids. Don't do the drugs.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
Like if my account ever got banned for whatever reason, I mean, I'm hoping that one day I can get a demo account. Like I've tried for that before. You know what a demo account is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the account with all the cards on them. Well, actually recently, like a couple months back, I sent an email out to Pokemon. I like pitched things. I was like, it was a professional written letter. I got help from my friend Outcast to do it too. He has a demo account also, and like I was like, yo, this is my channel. This is my X amount of subs. This is my total amount of views. Blah blah blah. I average this many views a video, and I had like a big description of my content and why I would want demo account. I'm like, I make content on every format with every card in the game, which I don't have access to all the time. So having a demo account would mean it would just make it easier to make that content.
Right.
And Pokemon hit me back with oh, we are not giving them out right now. I'm like, no, dude.
You're like,
Which,
I will.
like,
They stopped that a while ago. I think like Pablo got one of the last ones. I mean,
Yeah.
I shouldn't say they stopped doing them. Demo accounts still exist. I actually had the privilege of being able to play with a Pokemon Unlocked account for the Players Cup because they didn't want card acquisition, especially with Vivid Voltage just coming out. So everyone got
that
access
makes
to their own special thing.
Mhm.
And then a few of us asked we're like, are we able to like keep this account? Is this like a special bonus? And they're like, you do not get access to the account. Do not change the password or anything like that. I mean, the password was I don't even remember what the password was. I think it was like some Pokemon and an exclamation mark. Like, you could probably crack the code. Don't try to crack the code, but it's one of those things where I mean, hopefully, especially for content creators, anyone new, like, could you imagine starting Pokemon and like Pokemon still booming in 5 years, starting a YouTube channel because you just grew into Pokemon and being like, I need to like invest like $20,000 in codes to get all these old things. Like, it's tough.
Yeah.
So hopefully they have a creator program in the future.
Right.
That could happen, like some of Fortnite. Well, one thing is like a lot of the people with demo accounts, there's like a fair amount of them that don't even make content anymore. So it's like there's a chance that like I've always been like Pokemon should maybe update their demo account users because not saying there's still people with demo accounts that make videos like Team Fish Knuckles, Tablemon.
Yeah.
I think those are like two of the people I can think of. I know like Trainer Chip got one recently for casting, and like I think like Omnipoke has one too for casting. But like in terms of having an account just for content creation and like making new decks and stuff, like I feel like a lot of the new age YouTubers like me, Azul, and maybe like Mahone would maybe like benefit from having one. Like I think they could like that'd be cool if they would update the demo account users and like because like Dark Integral and Yellow Swallow don't make content anymore. They had demo accounts. If they quit YouTube for whatever reason, those accounts are gone and like it's just all the new wave of YouTubers, they don't have them. So like if Pokemon reached out to a few of the new big creators and were like, hey, here's in a demo account, you guys can like create your content, get every card in the game, especially when a new set drops. Like,
yeah,
I know like I have a sponsor, so I don't really have to worry about new set releases anymore, but like it's still hard to get all the new cards, like day one prices. If I wanted to make a Colossal VMAX video when Vivid Voltage came out, I probably would have had to spend like upwards of 150 Vivid Voltage packs, which I could have then invested into like 4 or 5 Secret Quick Balls.
Right.
So it's like, it's so like that's one reason why I do want a demo account, and like I think it'd be cool if Pokemon did more stuff for their content creators in general, not just demo accounts.
Yeah.
Just like even
like they're not.
I think if they leased it out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
a cool.
Sorry. There you go. No, you go.
Like a cool idea I thought of for like what they could do with content creators is like I know like Call of Duty did this thing where like when a new DLC comes out, they'd fly out YouTubers to like their like studios to like pre-record all the new Call of Duty maps and stuff. Like something like that'd be kind of cool. Like except like instead of like flying us out, it could be like, oh, your account can get access to these new cards, but you have to battle each other. So like I don't know, like say like me and like Tablemon got the new sets like early, like a week or two early, and it's like Pokemon put the cards in our account just for that event only, and it's like you can battle each other, record the new decks, and you can like upload them like a couple days before the set drops.
That would be super cool. Like just like a creator like weekend or whatever for like a new set whenever it drops. And I feel like they don't lose anything by giving these people these these demo accounts, because
Yeah.
not only like it just brings awareness around the game and around each new set when it comes out, all the new cards. It just makes sense to me, and I wouldn't
it hypes the game up.
exactly. I mean,
It's
I
like,
wouldn't
it's
expect
advertisement.
exactly. I wouldn't expect it from me. Like I have like I have like less
Sure.
than 1,000 subs or anything like that. But there's people that literally make content every day, like multiple times a week, on all the new cards, on all the new decks, and a lot of times even they'll make future format content, or like they'll go heavy on trading for that first like day or two, right, to get all the cards immediately, and then they spend all the time, the money, the effort, the packs, and then they make their content. But it's like you really don't need to like force them to do that every set. It's
That's like, I'm not saying Pokemon TCG content creators should be like privileged or anything. It's just like, it's like when, because you're subscribed to the channel to watch the new decks, and when new decks can be so hard to obtain because the insane value of like the packs day one and the cards day one, it's like, even like not even day one, like even the first week, it can be hard to make a lot of the new decks.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
it's like, that's why I'm like advocating like maybe Pokemon should like give a couple more content creators demo accounts just to like help with like making new decks work and stuff, and like being able to provide the new cards without those content creators having to blow a bag on like all the new stuff.
Or even if they just gave them like a few hundred packs and was like, you just have to open these, you can't trade them. So,
yeah, that could be cool.
That'd be cool, like some locked packs. But at the same time, I think like, I don't know, I think Magic the Gathering has a creator program of some sort. And I mean, Maddie and I are small fries compared to you, for sure. I mean, like, we're on our path, and I mean, everyone's got to start off somewhere. But I mean, I think if some kind of account, if they gave it accounts, kind of like on a lease them off to players for a year, they're like, you met the certain requirements, you can have this account for a year. As long as you continuously make active, you could reapply again in a year, and you could just have it as long as you keep on creating content. But I mean, I agree with you that I feel like some demo accounts are definitely like fallen, and they probably like, they're so valuable to anyone who's using them here, right? Like all three of us would just like die at the chance of having an actual demo account to use, or anything. Like I just think that I don't know, with Pokemon being online only right now, or at least online only for most of the worlds, I think it'd be super cool if there's just a little bit more to help us out in content creation in all different ways. Even if there was just like, hey, you want to know, we saw that you have a YouTube channel, here's 100 packs from the Pokemon Company, or it's 100 packs for every 5,000 subs or something you had. Like, I would die if Pokemon sent me 5 extra packs and they're like, hey, Zach, we saw a video. I'd be like, oh, I got the warm and fuzzies. But I don't know. That's what we got going on there. I mean, there's also content creation on in real life play. Kind of transitioning into a kind of another topic. How do y'all feel like Pokemon's gonna go from online play? Because right now we have all these online events. Like, you got the Hegsters on the Mondays, you got the Chills on the Wednesdays. And obviously there's the other events like Limitless, and we talked about Pablo's series. So there's a lot of great events to play every single night of the week. I mean, the other day I looked and I think there was like actually 10 events running on a Sunday.
There was
something
9.
like that.
Yeah,
like,
there were 9 events on one day.
Maddie's like, I know this for a fact.
I know,
sometimes it's a little bit much. Like, as a player, I'm like, dang, which events do I play? And I could play in events all day long. It's kind of like an online casino nowadays, where like you can just play games all the time. And I think a lot of these people do. Like Cashman plays all the time. Who else do we see playing all the time?
I know Gabriel
I see Gabriel Smart plays all the time.
man.
Sometimes he sleeps through. Danny sleeps through the first round quite often, probably from playing too many of the events. But what do you guys think the transition is going to look like to in real life play? Like, obviously in a safe world, I know a lot of places are starting to get the COVID vaccine. How do you guys think it's really going to take? I mean, LDF, I'd like to hear your take on it. Like, what do you think is going to happen for Pokemon? Wait, in a perfect world, or how do you paint it out?
Well, like, the way I look at it, it's like, the Limitless website, I feel like, was only created because of the pandemic. If we never had the pandemic, I actually feel like that site may not have been a thing right away. Like,
I agree.
Still might have been, it still might have been possible, but like, no one would really, especially when everything reopens, the online tournament scene is going to probably be a bit smaller. But like, this tournament site honestly might be one of the best things the Pokemon TCG community has ever had.
I know.
Like, it's insane. So like, I think, yeah, when IRL play comes back, at first it might be a little foggy. It's like, why'd you go to this event? It's not like COVID's like gone now. But it's like, I think when everything is back to normal, like, we could even have a Worlds this year. If we don't have a Worlds, I do think IRL play might be back up and running by fall. Like that might just be they might just like reopen Pokemon Online play instead of having a Worlds this year because of the lack of tournaments that we would have right now. Because if they started in May, it's like, well, there's only like what NAIC and like maybe like a couple League Cups. Like how are you gonna like? There's not enough points in people, so they might honestly just like the 2021-2022 season. I think we'll just start up in the fall. I think the online tournament scene will probably still be pretty popular. It's a pretty good thing to have for like testing. So like if like there's a big there's like a big NAIC coming up like the following like couple days earlier, and then it's like, okay, I can just like play in an online tournament and test the deck I want to bring to this tournament, and then like maybe they'll have to have it where it's closed deck list. So like if I were to like test something for like the big tournament coming up in a few days on it on a tournament on the Limitless site, I'd probably want it to be closed deck list because I might not want to see people don't want it, like I don't want to show people what I'm playing.
Right.
So like I'll run into people like in the rounds and they get to see what I'm playing, but like I maybe wouldn't want to have the deck list public so like anyone can just click on it and see, oh, this is what this player was playing. Oh, cool, he's bringing this to NEIC or whatever. So like
for sure,
I think it'll be a good it'll be good for testing for sure. I think the online tournament site will be great for just testing for tournaments still.
I have a little bit to say on it as somebody who runs tournaments. I don't know, like obviously my opinion doesn't matter more, but like I might have a different perspective. Like for me, like there's so many different types of these online tournaments. Like we have such a wide variety of them. Like any day you could play in 5 different tournaments. And sometimes some of those tournaments are expanded events. Sometimes they're standard events. Sometimes they're best of 3. Sometimes they're, big events. Sometimes they're small events. I know for me, like there's at this point currently, there's probably like 3, 4, maybe 5 weekly tournament series that collectively, every week they get a lot of players. Things like Hexters, like Limitless, like the Sunday Open, even like they get good numbers, and then even like Chill Series, right? Every week on our respective days, like we'll play, and I think for those bigger, more established weekly events, even after everything goes back to normal with IRL events, I think we'll still have enough of a player base to do that every week, and I don't think it'll be 300 people every week. Not, you know what I mean? But I think even if it's like 150 or 100 people every week, that's still enough, especially to do it. And at the same time, there's those events that like the GG Tour events that we run with, along with them, where they're big cash prize events and they're over a weekend, and they're best of 3. I know, like, and you mentioned closed deck lists. Like, since we try to emulate regional tournaments with those online tournaments, with GG Tour, like we might make those closed deck lists just to sort of give people an outlet to play like a regional tournament, but online.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like those tournaments, the prize pools might get smaller, right, if less people play in them. But even if people just come out every month to play in one tournament, and that's the tournament, I still think that section of the online scene will still be relevant, even after IRL events come back, unless there's something going on that weekend, of course, like an actual regional or whatever. But
I mean, another way to look at it too, like there was the JGB events online before the pandemic, and they used to run off of Poke Beach. And it was Jeffrey Blake who was running the events, and he eventually gave it over to Atlas and Drayden. But I mean, those were running over IRL play, and they were fairly popular as well because it allows you to play against a lot of players in kind of like different areas as well. Because that's the cool thing about playing online. I consider myself fairly lucky to travel to these international championships. I'm in a financial position to do so. Whereas a lot of players, unfortunately, cannot go to Australia,
right,
like in a normal weekday and just be there for 2 weeks and play some Pokemon. But I get a chance to play against players who speak Japanese. I get a chance to play against Portuguese players from all over. I mean, that's something that we see online too. So I think that's going to be a big draw going forward, is just like having more of a globalized game. We can even look at players like, I know we already talked about Cash a little bit in here, but under TPCI's kind of new thing with TPCI Japan or TPCI Asia, Cash is not even under our globalized game anymore, kind of in this side set game for a lot of the Asian playing countries. And he's able to play in these events with all the other players as well. So it's weird that we have like one of the top players in the online game right now, which is definitely just like one of the top players in the game right now.
Yeah, he's a big Center Sports guy.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I mean, he's even done well with other decks too. It's just one of those things that I think it's so crazy that once in real life play comes back, that we kind of lose one of our players in a way. I mean, it's going to be a lot of things for that because Singapore used to play in a lot of they play in OCIC. I see Singapore players travel to NAIC.
Right.
Like players travel for the game. Um, kind of a little that's a little bit of a rant, but I think in real life play to or sorry, online play to in real life play is going to be interesting. Obviously, like there's going to be kind of that taboo because where we entered into the pandemic, I remember in February, it's just like there's players playing in League Cups in like March, right until when everything closed down, and those players were like, "You're gonna catch coronavirus," and it was all kind of like witch hunty and like pitchforky. I think it's probably going to be the same thing on the outside. Like, there's a couple friends that I see who play in real life tournaments. I don't know if particularly. I don't play in real life tournaments. I don't want to comment on anything like that because I don't want to be judgmental. Um, I personally do not think it's a great idea to be playing in real life. Like, I'm a bit of a germaphobe a bit. I stay at home. I wear a mask everywhere.
Definitely right now. Yeah. I agree.
Like, I just think the outside world is gross and grimy and like hand sanitizer is my best friend kind of vibe. I just want to be safe and stay alive and play Pokemon in real life. And I think that does kind of my part. But once we get over that and there's a majority, I think there has to be some kind of threshold where there's like a vaccine, or people who have accepted a vaccine in order to like allow for travel to happen. Like, I don't think anyone who does not have a vaccine is going to be allowed on a plane. I think you're going to have paperwork with your passport.
Yeah, I agree.
Stuff like that going forward.
Yeah, there's going to be big changes for sure.
Yeah.
So obviously the world's going to be changed. Like, I think regionals, like the first regionals back, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be wearing a mask. Like, I feel like that's how it's like.
I
think germs.
Yeah, personally, I feel like in events like that and in conventions, whenever you get hundreds of people in one place, I feel like it should be a standard to have people wear masks. Like similarly, like to like an airport or like a train station. I just feel like with that many people around, like you're always in such close proximity with people. You're always touching things. Like to me, like a mask should be. I'm not saying if you leave your house you need to wear a mask, but like if you're gonna go to a place where there's
recommended, the same way that you discourage ADP, a mask should be recommended to that.
Yes.
Like if you look at the places that converted to mask wearing very quickly, or if you look at a lot of the Asian culture, where they were all wearing masks, like they're mask wearing societies. So they already had masks introduced before in North America. Like I didn't own a mask before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things like I like adapting it. I will wear a mask in the future. I like wearing a mask when I go grocery shopping. I actually feel like in the winter season, usually like most people get like a fever, a cold, a flu. I feel like I've been less sick. I feel like in general, like after regionals, there's times where I feel like I got hit with a dump truck of just like absolute dirt and grime. Like card playing games are gross if you think about it. Like sweat and grime and people eating their slice of pizza and getting the oil dripping on there. It's gross, right? Like, so I mean, I think it's going to be a little bit better going forward from that. The thing that I'm kind of more interested in, like, I don't think we're going to be starting Pokemon. I like my hot take is Worlds is going to be virtual this year.
Probably.
That'd be cool.
I don't see any way that we'd ever be playing Worlds in London. I think they're going to do a virtual themed website and probably have some big online tournaments with players who have earned a certain threshold, and then they'll figure out travel awards and stipends. I mean, this is all like what I think. I don't think we're going to be playing Worlds in London. If we are, I'll be in London. I mean, I'll get the COVID vaccine and go. Let's go.
Right.
But it's one of those things where I think we're probably going to be playing for 2022. Probably after. I think that's probably a safe time that I assume that we'd start playing again and play a half season. But we'll see how the world goes. There's nothing that we can control. Everything is just hypothetical. I'm more interested to see how some of these top players, like, for example, Thomas Brophy, just won their first event online, the Sunday Open, which is a pretty big one. It's not like one of those like, hey, I won a 10-person event at 2:00 in the morning kind of event. Like they won a legitimate online event. So congrats to Thomas. Yeah. I never heard about Thomas in real life play. It's a player who, if you ask me who the name is, I'd be like, did I play him at a league challenge one time? Like, who is this person? Who are they? Where are these players really are they going to shine when play returns to IRL? We have like some players who dominate these events. We've seen like Caleb Rogerson does well. Obviously a seniors division player, but will these players continue to take their progression from online to in real life? Right. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Well, like kind of my take is like we have seen like a big new wave of like new players that have been able to like take over the online scene and become like some of the best players in the online scene. Like you got to think before the pandemic, some of the biggest names in the TCG for like IRL play, you had like, of course, you had Azul, you had, Danny Altavilla, I think it was like Caleb Gedmir. Yeah, of course, you yourself, Zach Lesage, was another like big name player. And then if there's like other people like Igor Costa, Jason Klasinski, people like those people. And like now, like you still have like Azul and like Danny and like stuff like around in the online scene, but we are seeing like a big new wave of new names taking over the online scene and like becoming like top players in the game in the online scene. So, and
Right.
it's like they weren't well like as known before the pandemic happened. So it is interesting to kind of see this new wave of people come in.
Yeah, for sure. I think like, and I'm not saying like if you didn't have success in IRL and then all of a sudden when these online scenes came up and you did really well, I'm not saying that you're less like of a player in any means. But I feel like a lot of the players who have been doing in the online events, doing well in the online events, I think not only are they good players, but they're the people that have the dedication and the time to sit down at their computer every night, right, and play for 6 hours and compete. And a lot of times those aren't the same people that are able to get on a plane, fly to all these tournaments, pay for all the IRL cards. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a whole different experience, and there's a lot of other things that go into it. And I think that a lot of times the top IRL players are not only the best players in the game, but they're the people that have dedicated their time and their money, just in sort of like overall their in real life experience to it. Whereas I think just a lot of these people who are dominating the online scene are able to play every day. I'm not saying they're not good players, they are, but they're able to put that time in because it's easier for them to put that time in with the online circuit than it is the IRL circuit. And part of me feels like that hardcore audience of online players are going to stay after we go back to everything being normal. And it's going to be weird. I feel like the community might be split into like two parts. I'm not saying there won't be people that cross over, but
I agree.
Yeah, there's going to be like the IRL competitive scene and the online competitive scene. And I think it's only a matter of time before Pokemon really steps in and they can take control of the online scene themselves. But
Yeah, like I mean, honestly, like as a player, like without any bias, I hope that like they continue on with like the Players Cup. Like I know they announced the Players Cup 3, but let's say in real life play started tomorrow. I'd hope that there would be a Players Cup 4,
right.
And a Players Cup 5. I think just growing their online competitive scene is the biggest fast track to us being considered an esports. Like I'll put it like this: if I had the same accomplishments in like League of Legends or something, I wouldn't be on a podcast with you guys right now. I'd be on my yacht right now popping bottles, right? And it's kind of like the sad reality of Pokemon, where Pokemon's the biggest IP in the world in general. But when it comes to our niche of Pokemon trading card games or Pokemon trading card games online, we are not Magic the Gathering Arena, we are not Hearthstone, we are not Fortnite, we are not League of Legends. And I mean, I can only hope that one day that we're signing checks and I'm living in a mansion in Beverly Hills or something like that, just vibing out. But until we get to that point, I think online play is incredibly important. To kind of continue on with the form or kind of continue on with the discussion, I think that a lot of these players that do well online, like I'm just looking through the list here of players that for example, anti-loader, Logan McKay, for example, another fellow Canadian. I know that they might not be able to go to every single regional championships. Obviously, one of the top players online. I think it's going to be weird when these players. I think it's going to be a rude reality when the entry cost to a regional championships is $50, and that's just adjusting. Like, I think the regional cost might go up because there might need to be hand sanitizers, masks, and more space, less tables. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it was $70 to $100 now, just to account for inflation. Whatever, this is how the only way you're playing in regionals, bros. Like, this is how it's gonna go. I think it's gonna be a rude awakening when an event's not free or doesn't cost a single online pack of Vivid Voltage. And then players also don't factor in that they need to get a hotel room and that they need to buy in real life food. Like, they can't be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna eat Mr. Noodles and drink tap water today. I mean, like, I'm not trying to say that there's some players that have that little bit of money. Like, there's something like I'm drinking water, right? But like when I'm at a tournament, like I know that I pay on average like 500 US per flight out of Toronto. And each event that I fly to, I have to put in some kind of like I have like a spreadsheet that I try to get an ROI that tells me a placement that I have to do. I think some players are going to struggle with that a little bit, especially like some of these like rising stars. They might be like, dang, I don't have a $20,000 bankroll to play Pokemon. Dang, I don't I don't know how to travel. I don't have a credit card. I don't have a car.
Right.
I've never been on a plane
Yeah.
before.
Exactly.
I'm like in the case of like Anti is not even like he's still a minor, right? And not to like call it any player for that, like if they're a minor, I just mean it's going to be difficult for some of these like rising stars to play Pokemon at the same level that they're used to playing, playing 7 days a week.
Right.
So I think it's going to be a bit of a rude awakening, and I think even like a lot of these players that started during the pandemic, because I think there's a lot of players who had to start during the pandemic, starting playing Pokemon. PTCGO is a little autonomous, whereas in real life shuffling cards. Sometimes you just like zone out and you don't know you're shuffling a deck. I think there's going to be a lot of like really poor judge calls at the beginning. Like not even from the judges. I feel like there's going to be a lot of heartbreaks. Like I didn't set down my prizes. What do you mean that's a game loss?
Yeah, right.
Your opponent just can't DC in front of you, right? Like I feel like there's kind of an intimidation factor.
Yeah, like online, everything is like done for you. Like the shuffling.
Exactly. Like even if you don't do anything for 15 seconds, the card like shakes to give you like the Jirachi's like, oh, you could use Stellar Wish. Here I feel like there's gonna be a lot of players using Stellar Wish twice because Pokemon doesn't let you. Like there's bugs with Pokemon, but Pokemon doesn't let you kind of break the rules.
Right.
In real life's kind of like an open forum. I think it's gonna be interesting to see like what a lot of these online players as they try to transition to in real life play. I think there's gonna be a lot of Pokemon's gonna be messy for a bit. I think that's kind of like where I think Pokemon's gonna be messy for the next few years. Once in real life play kind of returns. Maybe a few years a little bit too much, but maybe like I'd say at least like the first 6 months. I feel like it's gonna be pretty gross. Just in real life play, and then I think we're just gonna be a shell of what we were before. I think like in most aspects of life, like if you look around your block, there's probably restaurants closing. There's probably like stores that you went to that are like shuttered down. I think the world more or less kind of, to put it in a more open thing, is going to be a bit of a shell.
Yeah, the world, it's going to be weird when everything reopens because like there's going to be people who like just they're more used to just the whole like pandemic style. And it's like it's going to be kind of crazy. And it, like even in my area, like a lot of like the bars that me and my age group always go to, like a lot of the bars are shut down. There's a few restaurants like that me and a couple of my friends would like to go to all the time. They're now shut down permanently, like they're closed forever. Like there's like a popular flea market in my area that like I used to go to all the time to get collectibles. Like I have a huge Funko Pop collection, and like I used to get them all over there. But like the flea market like ended up closing down because of COVID. So like it's kind of crazy. Just all these places that like I used to go to all the time before the pandemic, they're gone now, and like I don't know if they're gonna come back when everything is like comes back. I don't know if they like, you know, it's just so crazy the time we live in. And Pokemon will be the same. Like I think people won't be used to the old style of playing in real life. They're more used to the online stuff. So
and
it'll definitely be different at first.
For sure. And I think it'll take a while before it goes back to how it was. Like even if things open up and they run tournaments again, you might get like less players. You might get, you know, things are just not going to be the same for a while, even if we do go back relatively soon. And to hit on your point earlier, Zach, I feel like there's a huge portion and there's a specific age demographic for the online tournament series as compared to like the IRL events. Like I think that a lot of times these players who are doing really well and consistently place well in the online events are the people that are the you know, the players that are sort of between the ages of like 15 and like 18 or like 14 and 18. And this is like an age group where of course they don't have like the money, the job, the time. A lot of times they're in school to go and travel to spend on all the stuff they would need for IRL events, but they're also not young enough to where their parents are like 100% supporting them. You know what I mean? So like if you were like 10 or 11 or whatever, and you were like a really into it competitive player, like your parents might fund you to go play in the tournaments and such. But if you're like a teenager, they're like, no, like do your homework, like, you know what I mean? Or if you're in college, stuff like that. So I feel like that's the main demographic of like the online competitors that do really well all the time that just won't be able to, you know, do it.
Pokemon, my dad cut me off of kind of pocket money when I was 15. Like don't get me, like he would always like I was always well fed. I could always do whatever, but he's like, look, you want to go to this tournament in the city, you got to take the bus or you got to take a taxi or something like that. He's like, look, you're gonna have to work for that or use your allowance. He's like, you're not using my disposable income. And I mean, that eventually came down to I'm not flying you to our regional championships, or I'm not like your family, like our family vacation was going to Worlds. Like I didn't grow up in the most like rich family. Like we did okay. Like we could go on a vacation, but we were like middle class, lower middle class.
That sounds kind of sweet though. Little vacation,
yeah, no,
go to World Championships.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's one of those things like where like a lot of the times like my brother like would have like a paid trip to go to Worlds or something like that, and like we'd all make it a family vacation to all go together, whatever. So it's one of those things where like I think a lot of players are gonna have to start figuring out unique ways. I know I've talked to a lot, like I coach a lot of players, and I'm like, look, guys, like there's a point where like your parents that are multimillionaires are gonna like maybe like give you a rude awakening. You don't want to be like 18 and be like a bummy celebrity and like wherever, Florida, LA, like it doesn't matter. It's one of those things like start like doing these small chores around the house, maybe start creating content, Twitch streams, you can earn a little bit of revenue, like anything that's pocket money. Like for like I look at all these players, there's even people that are on my own like squad of people that I test with. I'm like, why are you guys not Twitch streaming? Why are you guys not creating YouTube content? Why are you guys not writing articles? I know that not every single opportunity, but a lot of these things, like all three of us can say like at one point we started making YouTube content ourselves. In varying capacities, and it's something you have to grow, because as Maddie and I are experiencing, it doesn't happen overnight. You just don't get 1,000 subs. You don't get like LDF, you have what, 13k subs, something like that?
Yeah, I just hit 13k today, actually.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank
That's
you.
like we're looking out here and being like, this is the juicy prize of the future. We get to be LDF someday, hopefully, if we make it, right? But maybe we could be featured on the Yellhorn podcast one day. But no, it's one of those things where like I think like players just need to figure out different ways. Obviously, like there's ways in the game of things that you love, and find ways to surround yourself with possible revenue streams. I think that's my recommendation for any of those seniors to young masters. When the game comes up, save your money, try to do some investments, find some things that you could hustle, take the Gary V kind of way, flipping stuff. Yeah, exactly, right? Like flip some cards, go to garage, like whatever is safe for you to do so. If you can make some kind of income that's like cool to you, just start doing it.
Listen, I'll tell you what not to do. Don't run tournaments if you're looking to make money, man. You're just going to lose out on money and time. It's not where the money's at, man. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah. Like personally, in my opinion, content creation is a great revenue income stream. Like YouTube and Twitch are pretty good. Like I just started on Twitch like just recently.
Yeah.
So like I'm not super into Twitch just yet. Like I don't even know much about it, to be honest. Like sometimes in my stream I like learn something new every day about what I can do to improve my stream.
Yeah.
But YouTube videos, it's a great way to like kind of grow as a person and like a content creator, because like Twitch, like there's a lot of people that do stream on Twitch. YouTube in terms of like big content creators, YouTube economy isn't as big as like you might think. There's maybe like around like 20 or so content creators right now that are like fairly large in the PTCGO scene. Right. So like there's still room for more people to like come into the scene. Like it's not like there's an oversaturation like with Fortnite or Call of Duty. PTCGO, there's still like a large base.
We're a niche hobby, so there's got to be a way. Like there's going to be a niche bit of like you're one of a few, right? Like if you were to ask me like who are the biggest peeps on YouTube, I'd be like, you got Mahone, you got Omnipoke, you got Tablemon, Azul, you got yourself. I mean, there's really not too many like when you get into like the 10,000 plus sub range, they're either talking about Pokemon strictly just as Pokemon, or like it's very few TCG related or PTCGO related.
Yeah, like PTC, like the problem with PTCGO long term is it's not as popular as like the video games or even like the IRL collecting card scene. Like the biggest PTCGO YouTuber right now, I think, is either Mahone or PTCG Radio, and I think Mahone has 62K.
I think it's about 60 for each of them.
Yeah, it's like the fact that the biggest PTCGO channel only has, well, I think Dark Integral still counts, but he had like what 71,000 subscribers. It's like the biggest PTCGO YouTuber only has like roughly like 70K subs. Like that tells you like the long-term viability of like making it a hobby or like even a job. It's like it's a bit harder to do because it's not as popular as like IRL. Like the Pokemon TCG really blew up, I feel like, in 2020, especially like with Logan Paul and stuff.
Yeah, I agree, dude. I think like and if you look at people that just like literally open packs and film it, like they'll have millions of subscribers where it's like it's like and then once people start competitively playing the game, especially through the online client, the numbers whittle down very, very dramatically. And
Yeah,
that's
labor
one
of
my...
love.
Yeah,
you can go on.
Oh, I just think that Pokemon's like a labor of love. I mean, I don't think anyone here is chasing a huge paycheck when it comes to Pokemon content creation. I'm sure people have all ideas. They're probably like, Chill TCG must make so much like neither of us up here, either of us even hit the 1,000 sub. We're not even monetized on YouTube yet. Even for yourself, I'm sure that it's like not to look down upon content creation or anything like that. Like I don't think that Pokemon content creation is making you a multi-millionaire right now.
No, it like
in the same
it's...
I'm sure there's some real numbers. You feel free to not discuss those. I don't even think we need to discuss those. We'll keep the mystery shrouded in Pokemon. But I think it's one of those things where like people like, for me, like sometimes like I even have to go like, I'm a Pokemon TCG, like I 100% make my income off of things of coaching players, writing articles, stuff like that. But also do like, I'll call Maddie and I'm like, I'm doing Uber Eats right now. Like I'm just trying to make an extra check. It was Christmas time. Like being for real. Like it's one of those things where you gotta figure it out. And content creation's not 100% where it's at. But I think it's a really good revenue stream, especially in a multi-revenue stream. If you have multi-revenue streams, it's a good one.
Right. Yeah, like I know like YouTube and Twitch, they pay okay. Like YouTube can have like months where you're like when you guys do get monetized, you'll sometimes have months where it's like you'll get decent money, and then like some months it'll drop off, whether or not your views are up or down. But it's like YouTube monetization can be really like iffy sometimes. I think Pokemon's like a pretty safe platform though, like for money wise. Like there's nothing really like get you demonetized or anything.
Right.
I know Twitch like actually pays pretty well. So like just even starting like a small Twitch channel or like having a Twitch and a YouTube, when you get to the point where you get monetized on YouTube, you can make like a couple $100 a month, and then Twitch, depending on how large your following is and how good your sub emotes are, maybe you can make like even upwards of like $500 a month just from having those, which can pay for the expenses to going into a big tournament. So
yeah, streaming is like that new. It used to be YouTube, kind of like back in the day. When people had when you had 100,000 subs on YouTube, like you were actually doing like pretty well. Now you need like 1 million subs to like really have like a large amount of money on Twitch. Like Twitch has become that new sort of place where like even if you're not one of the bigger people, like if you can still really make a good
Zool's killing it right now. Like I would love to look into those numbers too. Like I look at it and I'm like, I'll stream every once in a little while, and I'm sitting here pretty with like my 8 sub points. Like I it's a struggle in all aspects, but I mean it's one of those things where like you look at some of the bigger peeps, some of the big fish in our small sea, and they're crushing it right now. So I mean it's super cool. Like you said, I think it's a really good idea to, if you like Pokemon and Pokemon TCG, find something in your passion that can earn you a little bit of side money. Maybe that's to go to your next League Cup. Maybe that's to crack your next booster box. Whatever. Just start doing something. I think that's everyone here has started to do something at some point. Tournaments, playing Pokemon, making YouTube content. We all excel in different areas, and it's one of those things where just do it because it's not going to get done, and it's a long road of pain. There's a lot of pain that goes into it. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that go into every single thing that all three of us do. And I think it's one of those things where really just pushing it, figure out what you can do.
I agree, man.
I don't know, Maddie, do you have I think we kind of touched on all the subjects we want to talk about.
Yeah, well, I mean, actually, one thing I do want to say quickly, getting into YouTube content, it's just, I got some advice for people getting into it.
Sure.
Since, I know a lot about it. So,
and us, yeah. It's for...
Yeah.
We're right here, like, woo!
Some of the best advice I can give if you are wanting to get into YouTube, you don't have to have insane equipment and stuff. Like, that's one thing I know a lot of people, like, I see people, like, want to start off on YouTube. They'll get, like, the most insane equipment. They'll get, like, the highest-end microphone, insane, like, lighting equipment, the highest quality DSLR webcam, $2,000 insane camera, and, like, they'll have, like, a $30,000 gaming PC. It's like they invest so much money into their YouTube channel, which you don't really have to do. Like, you're not going to get a return on investment right away. Like, for me right now, I don't have the greatest equipment for YouTube. I have an okay webcam. I have a decent mic. I actually make my videos on a laptop. I actually don't have a gaming PC. I'm working on building one. So hopefully I can get one soon. But, like, I don't have insane equipment. I have invested in myself with, like, my webcam and, like, my microphone. And, like, I have the wall foam things, whatever, the acoustic foams on the wall for, like, sound and stuff like that. But like starting off on YouTube, you don't have to have the most insane equipment. You can start off with whatever you have and you can grow from there. Definitely, I do think upgrading is a very important step in making content. Another good piece of advice I can give to people starting off on YouTube, it doesn't even have to be for PCGO, but it can be like any game. Find like a creative niche. Like I feel like doing content that like everybody else is doing, like I'm not like saying like making a video on like the best competitive decks in the format is like bad, but I feel like there's a lot of people doing that right now. So I feel like finding like a niche, a special idea, like something that like no one's doing right now, putting that into your content. You can even add that even to your own personality. Like if you have a really good personality, you can just boom. Like you can make content. You can make, oh, this deck just won a tournament, I'm gonna make a video on it. And I'm sure like, Mahone and Azul will probably do that too. So like if you have like a really good personality, like a really cool editing style that you can add to the video, you can make that video like work, and you can make it so that you can stand out from the crowd. And I guess like for me, like my niche is like I make videos on like every card I can for content. It's like, hey, this card exists. This card will never win a tournament, but you know what? It'll be cool to I think people would enjoy watching this card in action. It might not win a game, but it'll be cool to see the card do what it does for entertainment.
Or the cool strategy or the end goal or like whatever. Some things are a little bit far fetched, but I mean, no, I've definitely watched some of your content, long time watcher. And it's one of those things where, I mean, I think the concept's really cool of what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, that's kind of like when I started making YouTube videos, like I kind of go like I went into it like, I mean, obviously other people that run tournaments might make videos, you know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm the only one that does it, but that was really where I tried to like be different, where I was like, hey, like when you have a tournament and like you play in the tournament, like you can, if you place well, like you'll make it onto the videos. If you win, I might even make a video on your deck, right? So it's like, it kind of gives a different feel to like a typical, just sort of normal like deck list YouTube channel that, you see so many people do. Not that I'm not making deck lists, I do them all the time, right? But they're always going to be somebody else's deck list that they use to win in the tournament, right? So that kind of gives a spotlight for the deck and the player, and gives everybody an opportunity to be featured on the channel if they wanted to. And I don't know, at its core, it's the same, right? It's just so it has a different background, right? Like a different back layer to it that I don't know that it's originated from. But
I think
your channel's pretty unique, Maddie.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, same. I agree. It's like, I think personally a big gold mine right now in the Pokemon TCG stuff, making rogue videos, like they do really well. Like I think there's a reason why my channel was able to, like, 2020 was my best year on YouTube in terms of views and sub growth. I think one of the big reasons why my channel was able to do so well is because like I feel like I was the only content creator who made just strictly rogue decks. Right. Like I know like Dark Integral and Yellow Swallow were like the two biggest channels on PTCGO, and they did the same thing. They made rogue deck videos most of the time. I know Dark Integral was like strictly that. And like ever since they left, I feel like I've kind of filled in that niche and that void. And there still might be a bit of a void there. So like I think like a cool thing you can maybe do if you're starting off YouTube, making rogue videos isn't a bad idea for like basing your channel on strictly rogue decks. It's something that I enjoy doing. Like there's a million different cards out there, and it's like they'll never work in online tournaments, but like they still exist. Pokemon printed them for a reason. Let's try it. Let's make it work. Let's make it entertaining, hopefully, and stuff like that.
People will play those decks sometimes in the tournament. Like I've thought about, because every week I'll obviously make a video on the deck that won, but I kind of want to make another video on like one of like the coolest decks personally that I just pick out that might have gone 0-4 drop, but like it's just like a really like different,
the chillest
cool
deck in the room.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I might, I might.
There's a lot of other like really creative like people out there who like make cool decks. They don't make YouTube videos, but like they have cool decks. Right. I think one of the big ones is Ross Coughlin. Like he's the guy who made the Truth back in the day. I think back at
Ross Coughlin's a huge innovator for sure, and I mean he's crushing it up in nowadays. But I mean, a lot of these people, like I think Ross has a pretty big important job. He doesn't have enough time for all of us who are just like out here like creating videos till 3 o'clock in the morning. Probably goes to bed at like 9 o'clock at night. I mean, Ross seems like a cool dude, but definitely like a little bit more serious with his life stuff. Same thing with some other players too, like Sam Chen, for example. Like he's gone on a few times and said like I don't really need like a sponsorship. I have my own kind of big job. I play Pokemon because it's fun. I like being competitive. So I mean, it's one of those things where Ross has definitely put out a lot of cool decks in his lifetime. Super cool player.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think.
Oh, yeah. No, you go.
You can go on if you want.
No. You go first because I'm gonna.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. But yeah, like I do think that if you can find your niche, if you can find something really cool to base your content around, whether it be rogue decks or whether it be a cool take on like a meta deck. I mean, that's a great way to grow on YouTube. And I do think grinding is also really relevant too. It's like if you make videos every day, making a video, I think is the best way to grow your channel, because if you're making a video like every other day or twice a week, your channel won't grow as much. So like one good advice I can give is just grind every day. You're not going to see instant growth, but if you just keep grinding and grinding and grinding, you'll eventually get there. So,
I agree.
I mean, that's just, it's normal advice, but like it's really true with YouTube, because sometimes you'll make a channel, you won't get many views or subs that like fast, and you'll be like, I'm not going to do this anymore. It's not going anywhere, because you're just not putting the effort in. You have to just keep grinding and eventually you'll get there.
It's like fishing, you know. If you go out fishing and you only cast out your net like twice, like you're probably not gonna catch a fish. But if you do it 100 times, like you'll catch something. You know what I mean? On one of those casts. So yeah. All right. Well, listen, hour and a half of LDF on the Yell Horde podcast. Only our 3rd episode, man. But you know, I hope that people really
check them out.
Check them out. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you know, it's been well received. Like, I mean, LDF said that he listened to the first 2 podcasts, and you never know who's listening, right? I mean, if you're listening right now, I mean, it's very possible that you come on the podcast. You know, you just kind of
especially if you work for the Pokemon company about all that stuff about getting some demo accounts. Those are the types. If anyone wants to tag any of them, feel free to tag them in this one.
Jeez. Yeah. So I mean, it's. Everything's been well received. I mean, it's our 3rd episode. We already have LDF on here, so it's just super cool. Like, it's awesome. And I can't thank you enough, LDF, for coming on. And
thank you for having me.
Oh, truly, thank you so much for coming on. We totally appreciate having a
for sure
Poké celebrity like you on the channel. I mean, it's one of those things. We totally appreciate all the cool decks and content that you create. And I mean, hopefully everyone's all hyped up to listen to this episode. I know I'm hyped up to watch it again.
Me too.
Same, I'm hyped
and
up to listen to it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where like you know, even though you've been on here once, that doesn't mean you can't come on again, right? So maybe in like a few weeks after we've had some more guests, like I know I talked with Zach, like we want to try to get guests on like every week, right? Like we want to have a guest every week. It kind of just elevates the podcast and makes it more accessible for other viewers. So I think in the future, you know, maybe we'll have you back on again, hopefully, right? Especially
I'd be down.
Yeah. It might, you know, we'll see who else wants to be on it.
For guests for episode 4 right now, it could be you again.
Exactly.
Right.
You never know.
If nobody else wants on, then yeah. So I mean, definitely super cool, man. I mean, I'm just trying to wrap it up here. I don't really have much else to say. If you're cool with us wrapping it up, I'll give our closing remarks.
Yeah,
cool.
I think we're good to go.
All right, cool. All right, guys, thank you for watching the Yell Horde or listening to the Yell Horde podcast, episode 3. Of course, sponsored by GG Tour. Definitely go check them out. GG Tour is a phenomenal esports tournament organization. They host tournaments for all sorts of games, not only PTCGO, but just other games in general. However, the PTCGO tournaments are awesome, so definitely go play in those. Chill series, weekly PTCGO tournaments every Wednesday. Go play in them. And go check out The Lone Blound on Twitter and on YouTube. That's Zach Lesage. Go check out littledarkfury on YouTube and on Twitch now. He's been streaming on Twitch recently. And, of course, always love tuning in. I always tune in for a bit, LDF, when you're streaming, just to see what's up. But, like, if I have time, I'm like, oh, let me hop in. Yeah. And then, check out Chill TCG on YouTube and on Twitter and all that goodness. So, I got nothing else to say, guys.
You can also check out the Yell Horde on Twitter now too. We have our pretty feisty, spicy Twitter account ran by we don't know.
Yeah, whoever's running that account, man, they're a little crazy.
Yeah.
We gotta track them down. All right, man. All right.
Anyways,
we'll catch you guys later on episode 4. Bye.
Peace out, guys.